Hi everyone. So today I thought I'd show you how I made my logo. It's going to be a little bit rough and ready because I don't plan on doing a lot of takes of this. Some of you might be interested in seeing how the process comes together or how I did it. There's obviously a lot of different ways to do this. And another point is that I used Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator to make this. Not everyone has access to that. So I would suggest if you want to make a logo and you don't have access to Adobe, then maybe you could use canva.com or .org, I think. It's a really good website and you can get a free account there. So, but for those of you who do want to know what the process is or how I went about it, um, I'm going to just show you how I did that in this video. So let me just going to play my video of what I did first. So the first thing I did here, I'm just going to pause it for a sec, was I wanted to make something. I knew I wanted to make a logo using something showing what materials I used in my soaps or other products. So what I did was I took a photo of, I've actually got a little daisy plant, and unfortunately the daisies aren't growing. So there's a nettle. I realized there's a nettle leaf growing out of it recently. So I decided to just take a photo of that because it is actually quite a nice shape. And I have my nettle soap, so I thought that would suit that. So I took a photo of the nettle, and then I have a Wacom desktop tablet with a pen on it. So I chose my color, which was green, and I just went about outlining the shape of the nettle leaves. And it wasn't, this is speeded up, but it didn't actually take too long. This part was kind of fun. And, there's lots of lovely veins and textures in the nettle leaf. So it's a nice way to work. I like working this way. You don't have to deal with any copyright issues. You can just, it's your original artwork and you're not using other people's images. So I think it's a nice way to work. And also just because you are tracing it, you still get that nice kind of professional feel, especially if you're not good at drawing or you're kind of out of practice like me. Then I did the same with the lavender plant. So I have some kind of lavender stalks in a little pot. I outlined the shape of them. This was a little bit more rough. I didn't pay too much attention to making it smooth. You can see here I'm tilting the image because the arrangement of the stalks wasn't exactly how I wanted it. It wasn't particularly aesthetically pleasing in the plant pot, so I changed this. That's the good thing about using the imagery like this. You can kind of cheat a little bit and put the stalks whatever way you want it. And then you can see I'm able to get rid of the photo while I'm drawing, or I can just make that, see the little eye next to the layer. I can make that invisible. I can make the photo invisible. So that's kind of a nice way as well to see what your progress is. And I was pretty happy with that, how that turned out. Next thing I did was I just made I made a new file, made some simple ellipse shapes, so just circles, played around with the stroke a little bit. I knew I wanted to have these images like the nettles and the lavender in the middle, and then the writing around the edge. I just thought that was a nice look. So here you can see I'm kind of just playing around with the placement of the images. I did have another image of like flowers, but it just didn't fit, or just there was enough going on with the two of these, so I just decided to keep it simple. Even with these, I might not keep this logo as it is, because when you think about if this logo is going to be displayed on a soap packet or something, it's going to be quite small. So, in that case, the drawings are kind of lost. So I'm not sure if I want to. I might even simplify it further. Even the lavender on its own looks quite nice. I'm sure there's easier ways to do this, but what I did was I just ended up rubbing out around the outside of the circle and then just tidied up a little bit of the lavender stems. Like I say, I don't think you're going to be able to see them that clearly on packets or on labels, but I thought it might be good to make the image as clear as possible. When it's an outline, it does look quite clear even from a distance, so I was happy with that. Next, I came to looking at the type and the imagery. I messed around with a couple of fonts. There are loads to choose from. If you also, there's lots of websites where you can download fonts as well and bring them into Illustrator. So if you have a particular specialist font, or even if you wanted to design your own, you can do that. I just wanted something simple, something that was easy to read. Took me a while to figure out how to do the writing around the circle. This is something that I've done before, but it just, when when you don't do something very often and you have to kind of relearn it. And then what I decided to do was I just created a new layer, created a new circle, and then you can see the text on the left hand side. You can track writing along a shape. So that's what I did in the end to make to make it go around in a circle. But even with that, I had some difficulties, because the writing on the bottom was upside down. That wasn't what I wanted. Eventually, I just kept playing around with it. It was, I suppose, because I did the initial image in Photoshop, it didn't recognize the circle I'd already made, so I kind of had to do that manually. I suppose there's lots of different ways to do this. There's probably an easier way, but because it was my first time doing it in a while, this is kind of how I did it. Another issue I had was that it was kind of skewing the letters a little bit, so the letters weren't really looking how I wanted them to. There was kind of an angle, looked like it was in a mirror or something. But this is kind of close to what I wanted. Again, I'll have to see how it works out. In the end, I did a lot of kind of messing around just to see, checked the placement. And I think I also wanted something at the bottom. It might end up being the case, this is my final one, might end up being the case that I end up getting rid of the handmade artisan goods at the bottom. Initially, I just wanted Chapelizod at the top and crafts at the bottom, but just didn't really read very well for some reason. I suppose because it was like there was too much of a gap between it. So I'm happy with how this turned out. For the handmade artisan goods, I just made it a little bit of a lighter font and a tiny bit smaller because I didn't want that to be the main focal point. And then I just put the two dots side by side to kind of separate it. So I'll see how I go with this logo. I'm quite happy with it.
Hi everyone. So it's just a little bit later, and I wanted to update you on. I've been making a few tweaks to the logo since I just made that video there. So I wanted to show you the final logo for the moment anyway. Um, just a couple of things that I did. I didn't record it. I made the main image a little bit smaller. I just didn't like how that was like taking up a lot of the space in the image. And then I did manage to finalize the writing that I initially wanted, the Chapelizod Crafts. So just to have the two words, I felt it was just looked a little bit better. It was a bit clearer, and I didn't really want to have all that like handmade artisan goods in the logo just because it's a bit distracting, and I felt like it was too small to be seen. So this is the final one. I'm happy with this. I suppose this is version 2. I'm happier. I like it. I like the other one as well. Maybe if maybe for other contexts like websites or something, but for this, I think this is kind of a simple logo and one that I'll be able to use for a lot of different things and will look hopefully quite clear even from a distance or if it's smaller. say for avatars or something like that on social media. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope that you found that interesting. Thanks.